All right, everyone. Welcome to the show. I thought this is Tommy Danielson here, reporting from California. And we've got Jamie from. Are you guys both in the South, or?
Yeah, I'm just
Jamie
outside Charlotte.
I'm in Virginia now, so yeah, I think that
technically it is the South. Yeah, there you go. So we got two hillbillies and a Californian, and a diehard liberal over here. So that's the story of today. We wanted to chat a little bit about the category changes that Hyatt's made today, and there's been a lot of screaming out there on the internet today, hasn't there?
Quite a bit of
pretty brutal day.
Yeah, you say it's a pretty brutal day, but let's dive into it a little bit and see what we're actually talking about here, how it impacts people, how it impacts us individually for the three of us, and also how it actually looks, around the world. Let's start with the U.S. And from what I'm seeing here, browsing through this list, is that California, Hawaii, and Florida are kind of the ones that are going up across the board. And, Alabama, I don't know even if we're going to talk about that, but it goes from 1 to 2. So obviously that's not the biggest gig, but it feels like it's leisure properties and leisure areas where people vacation is going up, and business destinations are kind of staying steady or going down. Is that a right assessment?
Yeah, I think looking at particularly in the U.S., right, some of the big name properties, we had some jumps from 7 to 8, which are pretty crazy.
Right. So Carmel Valley Ranch, if we start, from the top of the list, and so the Ensenada Beach Resort, the Lila, is going from a 7 to an 8, but that's a property that it's very difficult to find under $700 a night. So shouldn't that be an 8?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think many of these are surprising. It's still, I mean, when you look at points, it's probably still good value. You're probably still getting 2 cents a point or so.
Yeah, but I mean, looking at, for example, the Hyatt Carmel Highlands, which is a property where I stay quite a bit. In off seasons, I'm getting $250, $300 there. It's not difficult to find when it's crappy weather season, right? It's great. The summer season on the coasts in Northern California is, there are very limited times of the year where you can go and have comfortable weather. So I see off season. Back in January, I saw a price of like probably $300 a night. So it seems a little bit out of whack to me. I guess they don't want to have the flexibility of going up and down. I guess the off season is going to see less redemptions there.
The other one that's on there that I cannot figure out is that Hyatt Place Santa Barbara. I go there a lot.
But isn't that price there pretty high though?
First of all, that Hyatt Place is never extraordinarily high. I would say maybe never above like 300, but it's also in a crappy area. It's not walkable to downtown at all. I could see the Marmonte, which is on the water. I could see that going up. Sure, that's gone up considerably over the past few years, but that Hyatt Place,
it's now 25,000 category 6.
I can't figure out why they keep raising both of them at the same time, because that Hyatt Place it's a Hyatt Place, right? It's average.
Right. I hear you. I agree with that. But also what we've seen, the Hyatt Place in Moab, which has been a big redemption sweet spot, is now going up to, what is that, Utah? Yeah, there it is, 4 to 5. So it's still 20,000. And it's tough to find that place. It's kind of like the game in town, right?
Well, you can't use your cert there anymore. That's
right,
I think the big
exactly. You can't use your cert. That's the best point on that. Besides that, we're seeing in your hometown, the Mary, Washington, Hyatt Place in Fredericksburg goes from 1 to 2, and the Reston Hyatt House goes from 2 to 1. So looking at everything else, looks like Texas is all going down except for for what's around Austin. That seems like the trend. That's where people go when they want to hang out in Texas. New York, very little. We've got one notable, which is Theonda's Fifth Avenue, and that's a pretty decent property, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think you start getting up in category 7. Cash starts looking a little bit more appealing there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's category 7 for that place. I mean, it's a pretty stable property for New York. It's the lowest I think I've ever seen is like 350.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and you know, other states like Minnesota and those type of places are all going down in category. And also, we've seen the property in Louisiana that's pretty popular is the Eliza Jane. Anybody stay there?
It's a nice property, but that was a great 1-4 redemption place, but no longer.
Right. And it's going up to like a 5. I haven't stayed myself. I usually do the Ritz-Carlton in New Orleans. I think that's a pretty decent, great place. Anything other crazy? I think that the Park Hyatt up in the mountains in Beaver Creek, I think that one was definitely expected.
Mm-hmm. The Grand Hyatt. So, yeah, Grand Hyatt went to 7, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think Park Hyatt AVR went to an 8 as well.
No, I think it went to a 7. Let me check that to be so we're sure. Park Hyatt Beaver Creek went from a 7 to 8, and Park Hyatt Aviara in California went from 6 to 7.
Yeah, Lodge at Spruce Peak I saw went to an 8.
Right,
that's one that I know a lot of people like. The one that blew my mind, Hyatt Centric Key West, Category 8. That's
what's that all about? I haven't stayed.
Yeah, I saw that.
Don't Florida so much.
Kind of looks too well. What was
8? I was at the Aviara. I didn't stay
wild.
there. I stayed at the Four Seasons next door here back in January. But I went and had breakfast at the Park Hyatt Aviara, and they've made some dramatic changes there. It was tired. They had major issues, and they've done a lot of changes. For example, the restaurant is now moved. They don't have a buffet anymore like they had that mayhem kid frenzy that was there. Is not there anymore. They actually have it in where the dark Italian restaurant is. They've torn down all of those drapes and everything there. We had a breakfast. It was actually really, really nice and really, really good breakfast. We just went there as walk-ins, right? And they also have where that gift shop used to be. They have a takeaway thing where you can get sandwiches, fresh sandwiches, and various pastries and things like that for takeaway, which was also like a big deli style place is a new thing. And all the rooms have been redone. So I would, it's not like a 179 property anymore, which the clientele has changed quite a bit because it used to be that, you could get it for about $200 plus resort fee and parking. And then you had the Legoland crowd was there, and the breakfast was like the Spanish Inquisition at the buffet, but that's not anymore. It's kind of like got the old vibe. Did any of you guys go there when it was a Four Seasons back in the day?
No.
Yeah, I was there. It was very quiet and very dignified, and that obviously changed because when you get kicked out of Four Seasons, and because your quality is down the toilet, and you don't do any changes to it, so of course the only thing you can do is to drop the rates, and they did. So it was like the cheapest I've stayed there was like in 2017, where I paid like $149 or something. So those days are definitely long gone. Okay. Anything else we want to cover in the U.S. before we move on?
I would say the 2 Hawaii properties are notable. Are the Regency in Maui has gone up to a 7, and the Lahaina Shores, which is right in Lahaina, there is now a 5. So you can't use the category 1-4.
Yeah. So the Grand Hyatt Kauai is understandable. The prices there in Hawaii in general is just off the charts right now. So that's what it's obviously based on. Is it worth it for a category 7? For the prices that they charge, yes. I think that that's an old beat-up piece of junk, to be honest with you. I don't like it there at all. It's also big and busy, and except for the parrots, it's kind of junk. I love the parrots. What's the name of that guy, the blue one? Anybody know? I don't
remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it time for Hyatt to we got a comment here. Is it time for Hyatts to allow point copays with certs? Good point.
Yeah, I think so. That would be
category 1-8.
Yeah, I think that's obviously easiest play, but we know that that's not going to happen. This is what they promised us when category 7 appeared a few years ago. What they promised us was that it was going to be a very exceptional, outstanding global blah, blah, blah properties that were not going to be a mainstream thing. But gosh, how many category 8s are there now? They must have tripled.
We knew once that came in, it was just opening the floodgates eventually.
Right. And so that's why that cert is kind of useless. It used to be the big gig. And, moving on to, we're going to skip Asia and all that other stuff for now. We'll go to Europe, which is next. And we've had a couple of notable things here as France didn't see very much of a change. We lost the Hyatt Regency by Charles de Gaulle Airport. Airport Hotel there is leaving Hyatt. Is that at the end of this month?
Yeah, it's like March something. It's right around now.
Right. So you have the Hyatt Place by the airport is dropping to a 1. The Hyatt, the Madeleine in Hyatt, the Hyatt Madeleine in Paris. Wow,
7.
that is one dumpy place. Wait a minute, aren't they refurbishing? Have they started or are they doing it?
Not sure.
So that totally is out of control, if you ask me. And then also I saw the Hotel du Louvre is now a 7.
That's overrated. That's definitely overrated.
Well, I think that they just redid the hotel and spent a lot of money. Rudy likes it a lot. He stays there all the time when he's in Paris, but it now went up to a category 7, so 30,000 points a night. And off season, that hotel is not expensive. I have seen it at pretty low stuff, but France in and of itself, except for those 2 hotels in Paris, have not moved quite.
The Martinez, which is in Cannes, is went up from a 7 to an 8. That's a nice hotel.
Yeah, it's an exceptional hotel. So it went up to what?
8.
Ah, okay. Well, a lot of these small luxury hotels are kind of like that, aren't they? Let's take a look at it. What else we've got? Okay, so let's go in Austria. Park Hyatt Vienna.
Yeah, Vienna went up. I think it's still good value. I mean,
I think so too. I completely agree with that.
25 was a steal, I thought. 7 Pines went up.
Mm-hmm.
Which that I've seen cash price is pretty reasonable, but that's still, I mean, that went from a 7 to an 8, I believe.
Okay. Do we know any of the hotels in Croatia? Any of these that sound familiar?
I don't.
Alhambra, Sibenik, Hotel Excelsior in Dubrovnik, the Vestibule Palace. What do you stay in the lobby? The Kanshan Village and Hotel. Never heard of any of these, to be honest with you. Moving on to Germany, very little movement. The Hyatt Regency in Köln goes down. Actually, they all go down in Germany. And the Andaz in what category is the Andaz in Munich?
I believe it was a 5.
I thought it was a 4, but let me.
Why don't you check that, Jamie Jr. Going over to so the Mykonos Riviera Hotel and Spa is another category 8. The Hyatt Centric in Dublin used to be a phenomenal value at 12,000. It's because of the really crazy off-season pricing there. You can get it for 120, 130, but in the summer, it can be $300, $400, $500 there. It's actually a pretty nice hotel that's getting a lot of good reviews. The Lansdowne Kenmare, never heard of it, but it's going down. Let's look at Italy, and there really isn't anything. They're only the Hyatts that are going up and down, and these are all. Are there any ones that are going down? Yeah, there are some, but not that many. And these are all small luxury hotels. I haven't stayed at any of them. I stayed at the one of them that's in Venice. It has not moved. Everything else we've got some. So we have some of them going down. Not that many though. But Italy looks was pretty quiet last year. I wonder if it's coming back in a major way this year.
Amsterdam, I think, is that big one there. That's a notable change.
Yeah, so that's a place where people that used to be a 3, didn't it?
Used to be a 3, then it went to, I think, a 5, then it went back down to a 4, and now I think it's back at a 5.
Right.
That one's been all over the place. And interestingly, the other one did not move. The, what do you call it, Prinsengracht. That didn't move at all. I think that's
what category is that, 6?
It's either a 6 or a 7.
Right. And which is where you want to stay, right?
Oh, that's much better location. Much better. But the club at the other one is not half bad. So if you have to stay there. So let's see. Right now, Prinsengracht is a 6.
Right. So that obviously makes that a no-brainer for Amsterdam. The Hyatt Place by the airport, that's a one. Wow, I've had one stay there, and Melinda was not impressed by that place. So their shuttle starts at 7:30 in the morning. Wow. That's when it starts, and they didn't have air conditioning, and I also think it ends also like at 10 or something. It was crazy weird. And it was like, how the hell are we going to get to the airport? And the reception, it was like, call a taxi. Let's go to the Thompson Madrid. It's now a 5. That used to be a decent value for those going there. Where is that Thompson? Is it like downtown?
Yeah, it just opened, didn't it?
I feel like it's 3 or 4 years ago.
I think it just opened.
I thought it opened in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
Okay. Not sure where the location is, but it's obviously a 5 already. In Stockholm, we got the Story Hotel Riddergatan, where we actually stayed with some guests last year. I kind of like that hotel. It's very boutiquey and small. Got lots of good value, but I don't know if it could sustain a 12,000 because it usually is about 150 a night. And that's kind of how I feel about that. Funny, they have the Ambassador in Zurich is listed here, which is a hotel that's been closed for over 2 years and it's still not available when I checked last week on the Hyatt website.
It's open when we're there in 2 weeks. It is.
Yeah, but they sell now rooms on their own website. But they don't sell it on Hyatt.com. And I had my ambassador whatever we want to call that lady at Hyatt to take a look and see if they could book it. It's like, sir, they're not open. I was like, okay, they're not open, but their website takes reservations. She said, no, they do not. So, but anyways, it's kind of on the lake, on the east side of the lake. I wonder if that's a better play, but it's now going to a 5, which I feel like is a better deal. Park Hyatt in Zurich, obviously, that's a heartbreaker right there, going from a 7 to an 8. I just put my last 7 search up there, just like literally 15 minutes before we went live. So that's going to be that one hurts for that. What else? Andaz Liverpool. Do we think that hotel is worth 25,000 points?
25, no. 20, I would say yes. And 25 is pushing it.
Fleming cash prices haven't been that high.
Pardon?
The cash prices have not been that high there.
No, it never has been. I would say that the play here is that if the Andaz Liverpool Street wants 25, Fleming's Mayfair is a pretty decent luxury hotel. That's a good play there at 20,000 points. I would do that. I haven't been able to find that place under 350. So that's a great location. All the restaurants right smack in the middle of Mayfair. It's much better than the train hotel at Liverpool Street. What else do we have in the UK? Just a lot of luxury collections. Okay, so let's go to the Caribbean Man. That's Jamie Haas' hometown, and you must be crying your eyes out over your beloved monster of Bahamas is now going to cost 25,000 points an hour.
Yeah, I figured that was coming once the water park opened, so not surprising. I mean, I think at 25,000 is still a great deal. Like spring break. Standard rooms $1,000 a night with taxes and everything. So pretty wild that the prices are that high now. So that hurts, but like I said, still good value. And then in the off season, the cash prices are crazy low. So not terrible.
Right.
The other one, I mean, Hyatt Regency Aruba going up. Like, I don't know. I'm not that impressed when there's better
That's
options.
not a nice hotel. That's a crappy hotel.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm going there, I'd rather do Ritz, Marriott, even the Hilton. Like there's so many better options. Especially at that price, like that's crazy. And they play serious games with award availability. So,
right.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
Andaz Papagayo going up to 25K.
Not a surprise. Just crazy that 4 years ago it was a category 4 and you could use your certificates there. And then we went to 5 to 6. So
right.
We'll see what that does.
I think that this is like a temporary gig. I think all of these banana markets are going to bounce back to being lower. It's right now with the demand that we're seeing.
I was going to actually say, I think that's exactly what it is, right? I mean, obviously COVID prices were crazy low. come back. I mean, prices are higher than even pre-COVID. Like,
Not they've ever been this high. No way.
yeah, it's crazy. So they can justify making the changes. So hopefully it bounces back the other way eventually.
And what else did I see? Some of these inflations in Mexico is just Hyatt Solara going from 25 to 40.
Yeah.
And what did I see? Somebody, what the hell's 50,000? Is that even a category?
Yeah, the 25 to 50, the secrets, I don't even know how to say it, the Moxie or whatever that
secret Moxie
that everyone's been clamoring about.
Right.
Yeah, 25 to 50, like that's a big one.
Right. And is it in Playa del Carmen?
Yeah. Yep.
Was that where Traeger stayed for a little bit?
Yeah, Traeger stayed there right when it first opened. Right. And I mean, their cash prices are outrageous, so they can probably justify it. But if I'm paying that kind of pricing, I'm probably not going to go
to Mexico
for all inclusive. But yeah, that was a killer. That was a very popular redemption. The Cape went up. I know that's
what else do we have for the Caribbean or for
the Cape Los Cabos went up. That was a popular one. That went to a 7.
Right.
I think those are some of the big, that you hear people talk about a lot.
Well, the Cape just opened, didn't they?
They've been open for a few years.
Oh, hang on. What was the Thompson that just opened up recently? Wasn't there somebody where you have to go down a dirt road? Who was complaining about that place?
I don't.
Oh, so the Cape Thompson Hotel has been open for a few years?
Yeah, because I know a few years ago, I think pre-COVID, they had some crazy rates where you could get a 4-bedroom or 3-bedroom as the premium suite rate. So for like 40,000, you could get like a 3 or 4 bedroom.
Right.
I think they fixed that pretty quick, but now going up to a 7.
Okay. Looks like the DDR, the Dominican Republic, also has everything's going up there. They've got the Zoetry.
Yep.
I don't even know what the hell that means, but a pain in the ass to get to Punta Cana flight-wise, unless you're patient. So that goes up from 25 to 40. It seems like a lot of gigs going up there.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of those all-inclusives are going up.
Right. All right, let's go over to Asia, take a look, and it looks like the Park Hyatts in both Saigon, which I think that was a great hotel. Did they do a refurb? I don't know if they did. It's been a long time since I was there, maybe almost 10 years since Melinda and I were there. I think it was 10 years in the last time we were there, maybe more. Goes from a 4 to 5. I don't know. Then you got the Park Hyatt in Bangkok, goes to a 6. Which the Grand Hyatt Erawan, is that the big one? The one that's on the corner there? Next to the
the Grand Hyatt, I believe, is the big one.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know. That usually to me is like, isn't it like $80?
Yeah, the cash prices are crazy. It's usually $100 or less.
Yeah, so that's a waste of money. Or points, I mean.
The Kemal is that was I think a pretty good deal at 7 and going to 8. Like that's a tough one.
What are we talking about there? What's that?
That's the one that's got like those. I believe that's like the little huts up in the air. It's pretty cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good value. I mean, even at 7, I think it was pretty decent.
Right. Okay. Grand Hyatt Seoul, not a fan of that. Location is better than the Park Hyatt though. We've got the Park Hyatt in Sanya going from 6 to 7. We've got the Hyatt Regency. Well, let's just skip all the China stuff. And it's unless you guys have any insight on what these things are.
Nope.
No.
So Hyatt Regency Kyoto goes down to a 5, and I'm a little bit surprised to see anything go down. To be honest with you, in Japan, because the prices have been quite steep this year trying to book stuff.
Yep. I think there's probably just so much demand for the Park Hyatt now that I think it's probably hard to justify a 6 when the other's a 7, right?
Is it a 7 at the Park Hyatt, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a phenomenal value when you look at this list, isn't it? Love that place. It's amazing. Hyatt Place Kyoto. And then you've got the hotel. Is that the Gajoen? Is that the one that's next to the station, the Tokyo station? It's one of those luxury collection things. Or small luxury hotels. And then we have the Hyatt Regency Bali goes from a 1 to 2. The Grand Hyatt Bali from a 1 to 2. Oh my goodness, the poor remote workers or whatever what are they called? Nomads. They are. That's like we've seen people redeem a whole month at the Grand Hyatt Bali and mooching off of the of the lounge food there. That's kind of their main source of eating is that. So, 150,000 points a month is your rent.
Yeah. I mean, that's a killer deal if you can do it.
Right. Hyatt Regency Guam goes down, which is, the thresholds of hell is that island. So it's really not. And then Nanuku Resort in Fiji goes down from 7 to 6. And you both know how I feel about Fiji. So that's not going to get me to go back there. That's pretty much the list. So is it major enough to call it drastic or dramatic or?
I think the biggest hit is for category 1 through 4 certificates. That's, in my opinion, the biggest change.
Right. But I mean, at the end of the day, though, it feels like most of this stuff makes a little bit sense to me. I mean,
yeah, the way I look at it, when you look at if you're talking award travel, right? The places that are popular, the places that get the highest cent per point value, right? So it's like, hey, these are outsized value. This is where we're going to stay. Well, those are the ones that are primed to go up every single year, right? So if something's popular and everyone's using points to book there, likely next year that's what's going up because that's where you're getting the best value.
Exactly. I think that's a great conclusion. Jamie, so I think that we agree that go to Europe because that's better value now than going to Mexico and all of the other beat up places?
Well, it depends where in Europe. I mean, we saw a few of those properties in Paris go up.
I mean, it's really, where. I mean, the staple properties in Paris are not going anywhere. I think that the people who are cost conscious, they stay at that horrible place on top of the train station.
The Regency?
Yes, the Regency, the one that has the only thing that's good about that place is the view. And there's a lot of other, this might entice. So you have the Louvre and the Madeleine. The Madeleine is just dusty and old. It's like the Louvre was before they redid it. But this might be a good excuse for Paris to try out some of these small luxury hotels because there's a lot of them and they haven't moved. There was one that moved, right? That was pretty much it. So let's see what was the story there. France. Where are you? Oh, that's long. Here we go. Yeah, I think that none of them actually moved in Paris. So except for the two, the Louvre and the of course the Martinez, but that's also a high class hotel. Haas, what do you book that at? I mean, that's a popular hotel.
Which property was that?
The Martinez in Cannes.
I have not booked that property personally, so
I mean it's like a couple of grand for the film festival. I think it's $1,000 like outside of that, right?
Yeah, off season that one is super expensive.
Right. So, but I in conclusion, I think that Europe still has some good value. There you will be able to find good redemptions in Europe for sure. And people need to kind of broaden their senses a little bit. Going to Mexico, which is or going to Hawaii even, or going to Florida, or going to California. Don't come here. Actually, we got nice weather today. But the solar guy, we're adding some more solar panels to our house, and the guy from the solar company, he was like 2 inches away from taking a Peter Pan off from the roof here yesterday or 2 days ago. So I think that people just need to broaden their ideas a little bit, get their passport ready, and go outside of the comforting, like the close stuff that we're doing. It seems like Mexico and Hawaii and California and some places in the Caribbean are just it's what people it's like the pandemic made people they ran out of ideas.
Right.
All right, I think that's a big wrap. I think that we can agree that there are some changes, but this is not the worst I've seen. I've seen a lot worse category up and downs than here.
And it's still not like a fully variable award chart, so
right.
I had still got
exactly.
For it.
Never forget that.
because I mean, no matter what, right? Like if you're going to go travel peak holidays, like these points are still going to be super valuable at any of these properties.
I agree. All right. I think that'll let Jamie get the last word. Thank you guys for joining us. And if you have any more comments when you watch the videos, pop by YouTube and just put the comments there. We'll try to respond to that. And we thank you all for joining. Thanks, guys.
So,
Yep.